Where's Thuhan, mein friend, and welcome to yet another video. Do you remember the many times of me saying that the Rings of Power TV show is not going to stick to the source material, it is not going to honor the legacy of Professor Tolkien, that it is going to go as far as possible from actually adapting the works of Professor Tolkien, and that instead it will focus on bowing down to the gods of inclusion, representation, and diversity, and that it will be no different from all the other franchises that have been destroyed in the last couple of years, and that the good storytelling will be put into the back seat, and that we will be lectured and called distant phobes, because the agenda is the most important thing in the entertainment industry today. And not only myself, but a lot of other people have been saying that, and I have only been looking for something like this, for a news like this, so I can say, I told you so! Oh yeah, look at this video. This is too sweet. This is too glorious. It's early Christmas for me. Look at the screen, please. The Lord of the Rings of Power actors confirm show aims to erase Tolkien's work for the sake of modernity. Now, why is it actually a good news for me? Because I know that they will never ever manage to do that. As long as we will read the books from Professor Tolkien, as long as you, my dear viewers, will not pay Amazon for their twisted product, Tolkien will never die. His legacy will survive. And the sheep and nitwits, the plebs and the lesser people who do not possess the ability to grasp what he was all about will not win. But let us dive in and let's check out what they actually said. And once again, I thank Bounding Into Comics for bringing us the news. The Lord of the Rings of Power actors completely stripped away any kind of facade that might have been built for the Prime Video series that it would be faithful to Tolkien's literary work. Instead, they made it abundantly clear that the show is dedicated to modernity in spite of Tolkien's work and his clear criticisms of it. And that is, of course, one of the main and primary aspects of Tolkien's fantasy stories. In his essay on fairy stories, he clearly stated what he thought about fantasy, what he thought about fairy stories, or fairy tales, if you will. The fact that it should absolutely not, that it should under no circumstances reflect the primary world, or the real world, if you will. That it should be completely separated from our world. Tolkien hated allegory. Tolkien hated modernity. Tolkien hated the real modern world at the time he lived, which is the first half of the 20th century. What do you think he would say about our day and age? He would despise it even more. And yet there are people who still think that we can make Tolkien relevant for modern audiences. Because you bloody nitwits are too self-centered and too selfish and egotistic to be able to escape from reality into a secondary world and to actually empathize and sympathize with characters that do not look like you. If you want to see yourself represented, go look into the mirror, pat yourself on the shoulder, and be absolutely excited about what you look like and who you are, instead of marring one of the greatest literary works in the history. Alright, let us move on. Sofia Nomvete, who plays Princess Disa, an Amazon's original character, by the way, in the show, spoke to PA Media, where she claimed she is the face of a necessary redress of balance. She went on to detail, "We are redressing the balance within the film and television industry, and of course this franchise, because everything has to be a franchise today. You can't just have a literary work. You can't just have a book. Everything needs to be a franchise. Everything needs to be MCU. Lots of franchises moving forward. These are the best people for the roles, but what they've done is open up the doors for people of all backgrounds to come forward and have the opportunity to rise. Well, I thought that everybody has the opportunity to rise in the very developed and civilized world of 2022, and that there are many fields and opportunities in which everybody can succeed, and that there are hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of other literary works of fiction that you can see yourself in, many diverse stories, like a Song of Ice and Fire or The Game of Thrones by George R.R. Martin. But no, we have to go back, we have to take one of the most conservative works of art, of fantasy, and make it our own, because we need to see ourselves, because you need to wank over your ego. Non-VT then made it abundantly clear that this show has nothing to do with Tolkien's work other than the name of the series and characters. And if you remember, I have been saying this for as long as I have had this channel. She stated, to be part of creating accessibility for generations to come. Why, there I thought that Tolkien's books have been accessible since they came out, and nobody had problems with them. No sane and normal people, that is, and that they have been translated into dozens and dozens and dozens of languages all over the world. All right. Apparently, I must have been wrong. For new generations, this is their version of Tolkien. Oh, really? Suddenly we've got different versions of a man who existed and wrote specific books. All right. It sounds very 2022. This is what my daughter will see of Tolkien's works. I feel sorry for your daughter. Honestly. Non-VT then made it clear the Rings of Power is actually an erasure of Tolkien's work, and the whole point of the show is to reflect the modern world rather than reflect Tolkien's work, which is the extreme opposite of what Tolkien was about and what he wanted. The opposite. She explained, it's their time and it's so important, and I hope many people will see this fantasy and be able to relate to it. Everybody... How many times do I have to repeat it? People have been relating to The Lord of the Rings for bloody decades. But no, we have Amazon now, the savior. Now we can all be fans. Now we can finally find, as they said themselves in one of the promo videos, to find our people. This is a reflection of the world we live in. There are many, and we are different. And we will embrace and discover and peel back and learn and educate and be educated. What a bunch of bullcrap. This is an oral diarrhea. This is the bland mixture of words that they always say each and every time something comes out today. Nobody cares about the actual story. The message is important. We have to educate you. We have to lecture you, and we have to let you know that if you are a white guy, you go to hell. Oh, wait, we don't believe in hell. Well, you will suffer. You should be lynched in the streets. Ugh. And we can only do that when we embrace and love our differences. Once again, I thought that The Lord of the Rings was all about differences and overcoming those differences. Do you remember the Fellowship of the Ring? Or the actual Fellowship, the group that traveled to Mordor? It was composed of, people? Men? Elves? Hobbits? Dwarves? Istari? One of the Maiar? Spiritual, almost angelic characters. Apparently this is not diverse enough, definitely not for 2022. Nonviti then asserted to be the poster child and to fly the flag, being a mother, being a woman, being a person of color, being a curvaceous woman deemed as a thing of beauty is something we don't always see. I think we see it way too much today, but whatever. So that image of Disa, that is all of those things personified in the face, and it happens to be my face, she said. My face! I need to see my face, see? This is not about any kind of ism from the side of Tolkien fans and purists such as myself. It's about not being egotistic about things. Like everything needs to be about me, 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 me. I need to see me represented in everything. Can you see how pathetic that is? Can you see how very low that is? Not being able to sympathize and empathize with people that look differently from you. Not being able to accept a work of art as it is. Do you want a story that would be about you? Go and write it. Oh, sorry. You don't have the talent or the imagination or the skills. Well, yeah. Ismail Cruz Cordova echoed Nonviti's claim that the show is an erasure of Tolkien's work, saying, and this is around the year, by the way, another Amazon's original character. And he says, the awareness of diversity with Tolkien's original source material has grown. The cinematic world that Peter Jackson created has immense value, but we've shifted lenses since then. As it is, as they always say in the trailers and the films today, let the past die. We are the future. He continued, the conversation is different right now, but going back to the source material, the world is diverse, not only in race, but also in thought. Yeah. It is a diverse mix, and now we're just adding people from diverse backgrounds, Cordova added. Now, I've got a proposition for you, my dear friends. Let us take a shot, a drink, each and every time some of these people say diversity or diverse. I think we will get smashed by the end of this article. Cynthia Adair Robinson, who plays Miriel, also stated, this cast is truly global. Everyone sort of has their frame of reference in terms of their culture, their heritage, what it means to them, their language. Part of the story we're trying to tell is you have people of different races coming together to defeat a common enemy, she explained. Yeah, basically, that's what it is all about. You don't have to add anything else from the real world. Just as I explained myself what the Fellowship of the Ring was about. And it's not only in the Fellowship of the Ring. It's all over the appendices and the Silmarillion and the Children of Húrin. You kinda had men and elves uniting against Morgoth, including the Valar at the time. And then the Battle of the Last Alliance, a couple of millennia later, when elves and men were uniting against Sauron. Don't know, don't remember. It might be because you haven't read the books. Yeah, I get it. You're trying to look at this through a modern lens. And the world is global. And people now expect to see this kind of world globally represented. Yeah. Even when I'm seeing different posters popping up, the title of the show is in how many different languages? It's a beautiful thing, she proclaimed. As I said, The Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit, so on and so forth, they have been translated into dozens of languages since the publication of the books. Once again, what are you trying to do? What are you trying to tell us? Push agenda. It's all about agenda. Well, these cast statements echo what executive producer of the series, Lindsay Weber, told Vanity Fair back in February. It felt only natural to us that an adaptation of Tolkien's work would reflect what the world actually looks like. What a bunch of verbal horse manure that is. She explained, Tolkien is for everyone, it is. His stories are about his fictional races doing their best work when they leave the isolation of their own cultures and come together. This assertion is utterly ridiculous. Oh yeah. As anyone who has read The Hobbit, The Lord of the Rings, The Silmarillion, or any of Tolkien's other works about Middle-earth knows, the orcs really did their best work under the guidance of Saruman when they decided to besiege Hornburg at the Battle of Helm's Deep. And I like the fact that Bounding into Comics then cite some Tolkien's letters and paragraphs from his On Fairy Story essay to just once again prove those people above wrong with the words of the professor. So in letter 131 to Milton Waldman, Tolkien offered a different explanation as to what he believed was necessary for myth and fairy story writing. Myth and fairy story must, as all art, reflect and contain in solution elements of moral and religious truth or error, but not explicit, not in the known form of the primary real world. I am speaking, of course, of our present situation, not of ancient pagan pre-Christian days, and I will not repeat what I tried to say in my essays, which you read. In letter 181 to Michael Straight, Tolkien reiterated this idea. There is no allegory, moral, political, or contemporary in the work at all. It is a fairy story, but one written according to the belief I once expressed in an extended essay on fairy stories, that they are the proper audience for adults. Because I think that fairy story has its own mode of reflecting truth, different from allegory or sustained satire or realism, and in some ways more powerful, he continued. Tolkien then detailed, but of course, if one sets out to address adults, mentally adult people anyway, they will not be pleased, excited, or moved unless the whole or the incidents seem to be about something worth considering more, e.g. than mere danger and escape. There must be some relevance to the human situation of all periods, so something of the teller's own reflections and values will inevitably get worked in. This is not the same as allegory, he further elaborated. We all, in groups or as individuals, exemplify general principles, but we do not represent them. The hobbits are no more an allegory than are, say, the pygmies of the African forest. Gollum is to me just a character, an imagined person who, granted the situation, acted so and so under opposing strains. As it appears to be probable that he would, there is always an incalculable element in any individual, real or imagined, otherwise she would not be an individual but a type. Alright, my friends. What do you think about it? I will let you be the judges. I will let you to, type your own opinions in the comments down below. I do not have to further elaborate upon the matter. If you are visiting this channel for the first time, there is an entire series of videos, a playlist on my channel, Rings of Power by Amazon, and other videos as well about Professor Tolkien, which are more important videos for me, about Professor Tolkien, his works, not only his fictional works or works of fiction, but also his academic works and his poetry and so on. Feel free to check out all my videos and you will know all about it. So once again, thank you very much for watching, and that will be all for today. Namarie.